One of the most dangerous scenarios to be in with your horse is a horse that is buddy sour, a horse that runs back to their friends, runs back to the barn, runs back to the trailer, because these horses can get you in an absolute wreck. Now, preparation is key, and in today's video, I'm going to take you through working with a young horse that is very much stuck to his friends, has been stuck to the barn, and we're taking you through his first ride back in the arena to work on him being stuck to his buddies in the fence line down here where they are hanging out. So guys, if you don't know who I am, my name's Colton Woods with Colton Woods Horsemanship. We're here to bring you real, raw horsemanship, the real things that get real results with your horses, because there's a lot of fluff out there and I'm sick and tired of it. So I'm going to take you through this session with this particular horse and show you the key moments of what I'm doing and why I'm doing it to help this horse move on beyond being stuck to his friends, so he can be a much more safe horse to ride and a much more enjoyable horse to ride. And even he can enjoy his rides more because he's finding peace and presence in the person that he's with riding around, not being stuck, looking on a place to go and getting out of the work possible. For those of you guys that are going to ask, this is the snaffle that I'm going to be riding him in. It's just a regular egg butt snaffle here, nothing crazy. So that's what he's going to be sporting. And let's go ahead, let's get him tacked up and let's get started. All right, guys, so here's a 4-year-old gelding that we're getting started under saddle here. He's been in the round pen the last couple of weeks as I've been going back and getting some of the basics a little bit better as he shifts around here. I'm not going to make too much issue of it, but he's green, okay? He's a green colt, and bringing him out here in the round pen, obviously this video we're going to be focused on working on his buddy sourness. It's pretty a normal thing for young horses to have. They look for a place to rest. They look for friends to rest with. They look for food to rest with. And our goal is that they start to find that relaxation with us in the work that we're doing with them. I want him to understand that the guidance that I'm providing him is to be helpful to him, right? When I touch my reins, it's to help him focus, relax, understand, and then later on we start focusing on some balance. So I'm not trying to come out and pick a fight with him or anything like that, but I am slowly expanding the territory that we're exploring. And as I expand that, we do end up getting kind of closer to the pools, right? The pools being places that would pull him towards those, like where his friends and food are, because that's where he might want to go hang out, okay? But I need to have enough influence over his feet that if I need to drive him off my leg and make the wrong thing hard, which is getting stuck at a location, getting stuck with his friends, that he's not going to totally tell me to go pound sand, okay? I want to make sure that he's willing to move off and willing to follow my instruction and not get emotionally upset. I'm not saying that he can't be emotional at all. He probably will be a little bit emotional if he does get stuck and I'm driving him away from his buddies. But I want him to realize that that place is not the resting place. The place where he can settle is with me, right? Because I'm fulfilling that leadership role with him. As we start to make this a little bit wider, I'm going to start trotting him around here, out here in the open, because speed can evoke emotion with these horses, but I'm still going to try to keep him as much as I can in a little neutral zone, okay? You can see how he's kind of leaning there, so I'll widen my hands there and let him know. And when he's doing what I'm asking him to do, I'm still actively riding with my seat, but I'm not micromanaging him. He's self-propelled, okay? He's responsible for maintaining that forward right through there. I'll keep bending and then wait for the feet to come through, and I'll give him that release so that he doesn't feel boxed in by the bridle or by the reins and by the bit, but he can find out that, hey, when I feel that bit pressure, it means I need to focus. The more I focus, the more I can relax. The more I relax, then I can be in an alerting state of mind. If you're dealing with a horse that is potentially like barn sour, and I say barn sour, right? They get stuck to their buddies, get stuck to a barn, to wherever they want to be. You need to go to a neutral place, like a round pen and an arena, somewhere where you can establish influence with those horses to where those horses can tap into understanding and being willing to do what you're asking them to do. With these horses, like these buddy sour type things, even really broke horses have pushes and pulls. And I want when we're riding them, I want everything to be neutral. I want them to be right there with me to where they're not being pushed away from other places or pulled to other places. So we'll ask him to go forward here. We're kind of driving him down to his buddies. Okay, I'm gonna turn. You'll see how hooked he gets. See how he kind of really pulls there? I'll kind of bump him. I'm gonna try to just make the turn and just, you notice I didn't like really get after him too hard, but I did thump him with both legs 2 or 3 times. And you can see he got a little tight pinned his ears. And I'm just gonna try to set it up to where it's like, hey, down here, there's more work to be had, okay? I'm gonna try to not turn this into a total situation. So he really pulled there. So I'll bump, 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 bump. And I'm holding this rein, trying to help him there to try to look for a way out. Now this is where we'll kind of get into it. Is not like, and I'm not saying get into it in a fight kind of way, but you can see his emotions come up, drive him out. So I'm just going to let him work until he starts to look. So he tried to find a location down there. He started to look toward that round pin going, maybe that's the way out. And I just supported him and said, how about try down here? Okay. Now this is about where I got on him. And he started to slow down, but I'll give that to him because I hassled him. You guys can see, I didn't have to float his teeth. I didn't have to really thump on him super hard, but I bent him around, bumped him off my legs, got after him a little bit. And then he started, you'll see his ears go forward, his head's down towards that round pin going, maybe it's down there. At least he's looking away from his friends. He's like, I'm going to go try something new. I'm going to try something new. And I like that because he's trying something that's not being stuck with his buddies. I supported him off the inside rein saying, hey, could you maybe try to go this way? He comes off that fence, heads down here, and then he seeks a place to stop. We know this horse is going to seek the place to stop, but guess what? He didn't seek a place to stop down there, right? He started to seek a spot away from his buddies. When I ride like a lot of dressage horses, when I've trained those horses, a lot of times I let them rest in the corners of the arena because they have to ride them deep into the corners for their circles. Well, if that horse has a draw of a release into the corner, that horse is not trying to spook at the urn on the outside of the arena, okay? And you can do that with any type of show horse. If you build releases deep into the corners up against the fence, when you go to ride a circle, that horse is more willing to kind of stay tucked up against that fence because there's a release over there, okay? Ultimately, we want the release to be with you. That part has to be there, okay? So again, I firmly believe in supporting these horses and trying to help them. That's why we do the groundwork. That's why we teach them the way we do. Like I go at this very much as a working partnership. What we do with our horses develops the skills. How we work with them develops the partnership. And I'm very firm with the fact that, you know, it's our responsibility to guide them. And if you're somebody that wants to develop your horsemanship skills, your horse's skills, and your partnership together, I want to invite you to check out our private community group down below. You'll see more of the sheep too, because down there in the private community, guys, our focus is on developing working partnerships with our horses, which means that we focus on what we do with our horses develops the skills, and how we work with our horses develops the partnership, because I'm a firm believer that the strongest relationships and the strongest partnerships are built not just by singing Kumbaya, sitting in a circle together, but actually putting the work in together and going through the good times, going through the tough times, doing life together and having real experiences with your horse. Because when you have real experiences with your horse and you get into a sticky situation at some point, then you can bank on the fact that your horse is going to stick with you through that. So if that sounds like it's something for you, click the link down in the description and let's get back to the video. Now I'm going to bump, 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 bump. I'll guide him a little bit. Bump, 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 bump. Just more work. It's just conveniently. Now he's going to get a little stuck right here. And I'm going to let him work at this because I could feel him get a little stuck. Bump with my right foot there. Now, I'm trying to keep him out of these corners a little bit. Use the fence. See, I got a little stuck there too. I'm not trying to make this impossible for him, but I'm also looking for how he supples his body and how he softens, okay? He's pretty tight in resistance on this side right now. There, he starts to soften. So I'm just letting this be working. There, his shoulders came through, okay? His shoulders came through, and he's like, let me out of here. And I say, 10-4, sir, let's get out of here. And in fact, let's try to get out of here a little further down the path. He's waiting on me. Whoa. Okay. So you can see how much he slows up, because he's like, hey, are we done yet? Are we done yet? And I really like that, because I worked with him, and it's not just what we do, it's how we do it. And so in that case down there, I kept him down there a little bit more, because initially those first 2 or 3 times we ended up down there before that one, what we saw is we were looking for his mind to want to leave, okay? That time, I could tell where he was getting a little more stuck, and he's like, oh, I'm like, okay, we're going to stay down here, and we're going to make this a little difficult. We're going to make this a little bit more work. We're going to make this a little bit more clear that this is not where we're going to hang out. And in fact, we're going to work at this until you get better at not just what you're doing, but how you're doing it, right? So where you get more focused, he gets more relaxed, and we eliminate some of that resistance in his body. And so that way, for this horse, it becomes not just, it's not just about moving his hips, it's about him moving his hips accurately, in balanced fashion, softly, in a good frame of mind. And so we stay in that maneuver until we get that how. And he started to give it, and about the time that circle to the left started to clean up and look a little bit better, he's like, let's get out of here. Why? Because the mind was in a better place, right? He started to focus on what he's doing, and then he starts to realize, like, oh, I don't want to hang out down here. There's a lot of work. Can I leave? And I'm like, absolutely, right? Because if we get the mind, the body will get softer. If the mind is more pliable, if we have more influence over where they're at mentally, their bodies will be so much softer, okay? But if they're mentally not wanting to be with us, wanting to go somewhere else, we have to deal with these situations. You can't keep riding past situations where a horse is pulling you somewhere, because there'll always be resistance in that horse because they're not totally present with you, right? We're trying to build, how much is he present with me? So like that gait right there, very obvious why I asked him to move up. A little bit of bumping with the legs, just a little bit to make this a little bit of work. See how he wants to take me to the fence here? I'm not gonna get too caught up on it right this second, because I wanna get down here to this zone. I'm gonna look, see if we can, I'm gonna bump, bump, bump. So I just bumped with the legs there, and he started there. He starts to turn himself away 2 times there. I'm gonna let him stop a little shorter that time, because it was a bigger mental change, okay? He came past there, and I started to drive him off my legs. And you guys have to realize that isn't for him to go faster. It's energy, it's intensity. It's not just speed. It's work, 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 right? And you can do work slow, like you can do slow work with intensity, okay? And that's what we're after. I'm not asking him to go faster. And so I put that leg on to drive up the intensity, to make it hard, and he started to take his shoulders away. He took that step to the inside, like, maybe I don't want to be over here. He did it once. I gave him a release. I slowed down with the intensity. He went a couple strides, 2, 3 strides, bump, 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 bump. He takes his shoulders away. Then we end up over here. I also want the horse to understand that we are here to help them through this. Like, I don't want to be the source of I don't want him to think like, he's not letting me have any fun. Like, well, he's got to learn some discipline. He's looking for a place to stop. And he actually took me into this corner, okay? He doesn't have much reason to want to hang out in this corner, right? There's no food, there's no friend. He's never been over here. He doesn't get tied up the rest over here, but he wants to be over here now because he realizes this is further away from the work locations, okay? So there's no doubt that he has a bit of draw to that fence over there, the barns over there, those other horses are over there. However, the bigger issue has been that end of the arena, okay? So that's what we're focused on to begin with. And I'm not gonna try to overwhelm this horse per se and go, we're just gonna get this whole arena neutralized in one particular ride. I'm trying to develop a partnership with this horse and give him an education to last the rest of his life. And so he has to understand the principles of how this works. I'm gonna let him come right here. See, like, I'm gonna go ahead and expose this particular spot right through here. because that's gotten a little stronger each time there. And see how when I let him out of that, he's like, can I go? Oh, okay, I'm gonna let him stop. All right, so that was much better. But I tipped him into the fence, and it may have looked like, oh, it wasn't much. And I really put him to work there for a second, because I have to look at how much of his focus is stuck on that side. And he had more focus stuck over there than he did the time before. So I need to address that. They know, as I think it's a Ray Hunt saying, like, they know when you know and they know when you don't know. And if you know and you don't do something about it, they know. And that's no bueno, okay? It's no good. So I tipped in the fence, let him work. Then over here next to this fence, that spot that he's had a little bit of draw to was there, and he kind of really took me to the fence. And I look at, don't literally mean it this way, but is it a misdemeanor or is it a felony, right? Is it just a small issue or is it a big issue? And the fact that he really took me to that fence, I'm like, hey, that's never going to be acceptable. It's one thing to have a little slight lean. It's another thing at this phase for you to really kind of run off with me for a second, okay? And that's how I look at it. If that horse takes over that much, they've run off with you for a second. And I'm going to address that. I'm not going to let that perpetuate. And you notice, as soon as I let him out, zoom, right down here, right? He's like, okay, I want out, right? And so he's naturally like a pretty lazy horse, and pretty willing to go, but I don't want to have to, you notice I'll use this stick because I don't want to have to kick him in the belly more than I have to. And because he is more lazy, it means I got to focus on the release, okay? I'm focused on where his mind is at. But when I notice that his mind has made a change for the better, that I give him that release. That will build try in these horses. But if these horses, the more you kick on them, the more sticky they oftentimes can get, all right? And so as we're walking here, you notice he's like, I don't really want to hang out down there too much. You make it a little adventure, okay, for him in that way, because he's like, well, I'd like to be over there. I made it through that corner. Now I want to go out and check out this over here. I'm like, why don't we just try to come through here, okay? And I look at this for a horse like this, I'm not just going to come out here and get after him at every spot he wants to get stuck at, right? I want his mindset to get a little bit better and a little bit better and a little bit better. And he definitely has gotten better on both sides. Speed is the enemy to balance. And when it is the enemy to balance, if I'm just going to say, well, I'm just going to lope him around. I'm not saying we couldn't get him to lope around and him not get stuck and that sort of stuff. Hey, it's never a bad spot to quit while you're ahead and come back and get it a little bit better tomorrow. And it's amazing that when you quit them on such a good note, sometimes the next day they come out much, much, much better, right? We might be able to just lope around here tomorrow with no issues. But it's really important, in my opinion, in my experience with this, is that we want to expose those issues. You let the horse go down there. You let the horse find out, hey, that's not a resting place. But then you're also working with them in a way that you can support them through your aids to where they find this not to be restrictive. And this doesn't mean no, 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 but it means here, let me help you, okay? And so it obviously goes deeper than that in terms of how we want them to associate to the aids. But overall, we want these horses to realize that we're here to work with them, to here to help them. And so with that being said, we're gonna go ahead and step off of him here. And if you guys enjoyed this video, if you found this helpful, let us know. If you disagreed, let me know in the comments. I'm sure there's plenty of you that have a different way to go about doing this. You let me know about that too, and we'll catch you guys on the next video.